And I was on Million Dollar Listing. I was on Millionaire Matchmaker. I'd like some money too. Like, can I get some money from this?
All right, so let's make some predictions of who you think might already be in the lawsuit or should be.
And then we should talk about what's going to happen with all this.
Yeah.
So
who
who's
do you
already
think?
in? Well, I said this recently to someone. I don't know if it was you. The two people I think that are probably in where there's rumors, but I mean, I think the two biggest names that would really help this once these names are revealed are A, NeNe Leakes, and B, Raquel Rachel Leviss. Those are the two names right now that I think we need to see. If they're there, I mean, NeNe sued Bravo, and there's a little piece of it that's still going on. So I don't know if NeNe has been told by her lawyers to lay low, but her name has been thrown around. But to me, it's like if I were Bethany, I would align myself for the help. I mean, granted, you have Garagos and Friedman, you don't need much help, but NeNe is such a pool of. NeNe has even said, I've been saying all this. Now, we could all read into this any way you want, but she's like, I've been saying all of this and no one has taken me seriously. Now, whatever that is, we can't go back. But I think if NeNe joined with Bethany, whether it was number 2 or behind the scenes, NeNe's got a lot of stories and the dirt is going to come out.
And Raquel for sure, because she's the one that I think really started to have people see what was going on here. But then, you have people like Kelly Dodd, who I know she's kind of controversial. A lot of people, have their feelings about her. However, I've watched people on Bravo, including Andy during Watch What Happens Live, and other people on it, like facilitate talking badly about her. Now, whether or not this gets to her and, makes her have a mental health crisis, it is the point, I guess. But like the point before that is that these people are continually talking shit about people no longer on the show. And that could be really debilitating for someone. And they may have been kicked off a show because they didn't say or do the right thing or participate in a way. So I think she's an interesting one. Someone for me, I think a big person that should get involved would be Mike Schuett from Shahs of Sunset, because they made it seem like because of his sort of issues he was having and the stuff that he was in on TMZ for, and that
with Paulina, which was alleged and all of that. Yeah.
With Paulina, that the show was canceled. And I've actually spoken to him, and that's not the case. The show was canceled before that. And he has a story to tell. And I think it'll be an interesting story to tell. But I think that whole cast, because the show was canceled, there's a lot of questions of what happened there.
And yes. The thing with Raquel, well, her castmates, I mean, we're heavily into the new season and there is no Raquel. So she's been holding out for money. I don't know, but her castmates are now starting to say, oh, we don't think she's coming. We think she's joining Bethany's lawsuit. Just want to say 2 things get to be true. You can actually be on the show and still be a part of this. I agree. I think if Bethany hasn't spoken to her, it's such a missed opportunity. I would think she has. I mean, right, the way she was treated. I mean, also, right, the thing with Mike is you can say anything you want. Look at what Bravo is being accused of. If the ratings were good on Shahs of Sunset, Mike could have gone and rid it off into the sunset and may have lost his job. The show would have still gone on. Also, whose name is thrown around as attached to the lawsuit is Stassi Schroeder, because that is another thing which is being tied to this is, at a normal workplace, like you look at Chris Harrison for being racially insensitive to Rachel Lindsay. Well, we're not going to argue those debates today, left with $25 million. At Bravo, where is Stassi's money? Agree with her, don't agree with her, call her a racist, cancel her. She was exited out because of this thing with Faith. Why? Where's her money? You think she got a kick to the curb? Now, I'm not saying justice for Stassi. I'm just saying you can't just have people go away. There should, in a normal corporation, I was in HR at Martha Stewart forever.
You get
you get something, and it's you just don't sign. It says Stassi Schroeder will never sue us for wrongful termination if you sign here. 2 weeks, go fuck yourself. 2 years, great, let me sign. Right? Like they didn't say to Chris Harrison, here's $25 million. They said, oh, where everybody is buried. You don't think on The Bachelor, the stories I've heard, honey, with plying people, and then you have a fantasy suite and there's sex involved. Chris Harrison said, I know where everybody is buried, everyone. So where do you want to begin? And it ended at 25 million.
And what about the guy who was gay and hiding it, and he was the Bachelor?
Colton
Like,
Underwood.
yes, exactly. Colton Underwood. Like that just reminds me of that scenario. This guy was so pressured for the money and the fame and the likability that he kept going on and on with the secret that he was gay, right? And he just said that he was a virgin and that he hadn't found the right one. But I mean, he went to the fantasy suite, didn't he? I mean, the pressure that took place in his head, I can't even imagine what that was like for him to not be able to talk like that.
I ain't going to no fantasy suite with nobody unless they're a man. Okay. I don't even know where I was going with that, but none of the Bachelorette contestants would I go with. No offense. Yeah, I mean, listen, I understand like you do sign a contract. And so, yeah, you get, but I'm not arguing that. I mean, I'm not arguing the first year salary. I'm not arguing anything. It's just at some point, there's certain things which just there's bad behavior practices. And I don't know where all this goes. It's just when the names come out, like Paige DeSorbo's name is being circulated. She's currently on Summer House. She's the only name, like if it comes out and it's a bunch of people, it's apparently housewives heavy that are ex-housewives and ex-employees. It's like, is this even, where do we go? The people there all want Bethany to go forward with this, but like, where do we go from there? No one's going to speak up and say that.
But then, I'm curious if this lawsuit is going to be looked at as frivolous because the people that are going to be clamoring to get on board are people that were fired and they just want a job back or some sort of retribution because they were fired because of their own behavior or because casting didn't like them. I mean, how do you determine whether or not you left or you had issues with production because you were in a position where you were being treated wrong? Or did you really cause your own demise? I mean, remember, what's the girl's name from Summer House? Hannah?
Her name is on there. Yep.
Yeah. So let's talk about her for a second, because I remember people were happy when she was kicked off, but it was her own behavior that caused it, correct?
Allegedly she got too big for her britches. But to your point, that is the exact same thing, which is like, and I said this the other day too, it's like, you were just basically raped if you're a woman and you go to the police what they will say, the lawyers will say, this is what you're facing if you bring charges. Now you should, but where do we go? Every bad fact someone did, yes, Bravo will hit back with, it could get ugly. Like, okay, first on the list, Hannah Berner. Let us tell you what she did let us reveal the 37,000 emails that she sent. Next, Kelly Dodd. Okay, here are her emails where she said this word to us and that word. It works both. Your bad facts of your employment will be brought out publicly. Yes. Do any of these people care? Probably not. But yeah, it's going to be,
I agree. It's going to get messy and people are going to be throwing, sling tosses of shit against each other. But if it's a class action suit, I wonder how that works. If it gets individual and they have to go down the list of why each person was canceled or, fired or whatever for their own behavior. But what are your thoughts on if